Well, hello everybody. It's Claude Bowles here with another one of my occasional live streams, and good to see there's one or two people already in the comments pumping up their oven boners as we speak. So yes, well, I believe it's important to keep the squeeze on this individual. If I didn't care about you so much, if I didn't care about the Christian sucked him by him so much, I wouldn't do these. But I'm motivated perhaps by a greater God, if there's such a thing, to make sure that good folk, but gullible folk, are informed about Kent. And whether you're Christian or atheist doesn't really matter to me. I don't have this big thing for that. So, yes, well, been a lot sort of things happening. I've been putting out lots of little clips here and there almost every day, sometimes one or two. Some of them get a few views, like several hundred. Some of them get 20 views. And it's never the ones that you want that get the big views. It's always the one your lesser ones. I don't understand how all that works. But anyway, um, it's good. It's good that some of them are doing very well. So that's okay. I've enjoyed. I actually enjoy being on other people's shows more than running my own one because you don't have to really think too much. But I do go on some shows occasionally. It's very hard to get a word in between people monopolizing the conversation. But anyway, people are welcome to come on here, and if you want to come on now, because you know that my shows generally don't go that long, and by up to an hour, I'm getting a bit tired, want to move on. So don't come on in an hour's time. Yes, so I think uh, yes, if anybody wishes to come on now. So what can I kick off with a bit? Well, it was quite interesting. The other day, our dear friend Missing Mod put up a thing about Gail Ripplinger, and Gail is one of Kent Hovind's. He seems to like her, and they both are defend KJV only. I don't know why they do that because do they? Why do they think that KJV somehow, God somehow wrote it directly or whatever? Because basically the Church of England or Anglican Church got together under the auspices of King James, and they came up with this version. So really, it has to have been sort of edited and selectively put to please the Church of England. And as far as I know, Kent isn't Church of England, and neither is Gale. In fact, it's probably the opposite to those sort of churches. So I think they don't think very much about getting hung up about these particular translations. They're all translations. Anyway, so I put up a few comments on there and probably slightly irrelevant to the whole thing because Gail mentions Joe Hovind. So I said, oh, Gail's comment about loving Kent's wife, Joe, hasn't aged well. He's now been through 4 marriages. Well, that got all the Hovindites out. And one called Chopar Temple, I don't know who they are. Could be Kent for all I know. So Chopar Temple says, what is that any of your business? And why does that bother you so much? How many wives you have had? In which aspect of life are you performing perfectly according to God's will? And what does Kent's divorce have anything to do with the video? So, of course, that was like a red rag to a bull to me. And I said, oh, did you listen? It was Gail who brought up the matter of Joe's first wife. And I says, unlike Kent, I haven't had 4 wives. I don't steal the valor of those with real degrees. And I don't pal around with PDF files. And then I finished it off with a real sock to show Pa Temple. As a multiple divorcee, Kent is actually disqualified from being a pastor. So, yeah, I did quite enjoy that. And of course, various other people commented on it too. Said we not Dr. Hovind, Mr. Hovind, and Proverbs guy said, "I use part of this clip in unmasking the Kent Hovind documentary." And I said, "Oh, which part? The part that mentions his first wife, Joe. You'll need to remake your documentary now that the fourth and forever wife, Sandra, has left." That's a bit of a red rag to a bull too, because of course Proverbs guys blows the proverbial smoke up um, Kent's proverbial backside all the time. So yeah, interesting. Um, uh, what else? Oh, I see someone just commented here. B.S. Lewis has commented that the original KJV is like a dozen books that modern Christians ignore completely. Yes, that's correct, isn't it? Is that known as the Apocrypha or something? I forget. Yeah, somehow they've decided that, yeah, some are good, some are bad. Basically, with Kent, it boils down to anything that he likes. Oh, that's marvelous, and anything he doesn't like, oh, that's bad, and is apocryphal. So. Yeah. So anyway, so I had a bit of fun with that. Um, if I was hoping Missing Maud might be in there. We always have a bit of fun when she comes on, so maybe eventually. Um, I've done a few sort of longer videos. One was called Kent Owen Only Cares for Himself. And that was because Kent had done, mentioned this chap, John, who owns some sort of a museum somewhere. And he just mentioned in passing that he was in hospital at the moment and pray for him. Well, I looked up John's the actual video that he put up, and it's quite serious. And John has very sadly stage 4 of a particular kind of cancer. Kent didn't mention that bad, and he's also in need of some money. You can imagine he's unable to work, and so he'd put a little bit of an appeal for money. Kent didn't mention that at all. And old Kent said that, Dino Land should be on the same whatever internet directory as John's museum. So he used it as a chance just to promote Dino Land, and he couldn't give a shite about this guy. I think it's horrible. Kid, he is such a narcissist. And and I can feel far more sympathy for a person with a terrible illness than Kent ever does. So yeah, I had a go at that. Um, And what else is happening? Yeah. Oh, thank you for putting the link in the mods Discord. I'm lit. I still haven't worked out how to use Discord server. I think it's because my on my mainframe computer is not up to date. It won't. Yeah, it's sort of old. I might be able to check my laptop. That's my computer laptop. I don't have any other things on my laptop, unfortunately. And I'm not like Kent. And yes, I might see if I can get this Discord server so I can go on the Discord thing too. So, oh dear. So Maud is mad at the internet today. Oh, well, we will cheer her up if she comes on today. We could have some fun and some laughs. We don't have people like what is it, Bubble Butt? What's he name? Diasoranus or something like that. He just goes on and on and on and on. Correct. We don't have them coming on here, so it's good. Maud would be able to enjoy herself. Uh, I did another one video. Where Kent finally admitted that the fourth marriage has ended. And, once again, that's probably a bit sad, particularly for Mrs. Hovind. But Kent sets himself up to be this great moral, guy and leader. And for his third marriage, he tried to get what is it, Chris Jones to go and anonymously post that Cindy was no longer qualified for any form of ministry because she'd been divorced twice. Well, now Kent's been divorced 4 times. So doesn't that tell you that Kent is no longer qualified to be in the ministry too? I really want to take that up with him. He's the one that first introduced that concept. We're talking about his third wife. So, oh, she's been divorced. You totally ignoring that he'd been, but now it's 4 times. He surely is not qualified to be a pastor by his own definition. So anyway, so that was he caught him talking about his marriage rose. Oh, excuses. Yes, I did do a repeat of the song Excuses that I had done with new lyrics, which between you and me, if you haven't heard that song, just look up Excuses by Kent Hovind, Excuses, Claude Bowles, and it's on Big Bad Mama's channel as well. And that was a fun song. But when I think about it, I'm patting myself on the back here, the words were so appropriate. They were so appropriate to the whole Kent thing. I managed to fit it all in. Hello, Davy. Bonjour. Ça va? Comment allez-vous? Okay. Uh, Yes, so that's been, and then I thought this one would have and it did attracted a lot of views and a lot of comments, and it was entitled "Kent Hovind loses a debate with Claude." Well, he hates that, he doesn't like that at all. So, um, and that was over the very first time I appeared on a Kent Hovind show, and I think Gangs the Ghost put it up, and then I took a copy of it from that, and where I was questioning them about what goes on at Dino Land, and where he'd sort of said that there was no PDF files there, and then he sort of admitted that there were, and I had him under cross-examination. I'm sort of involved investigating financial crime, or there used to be. I occasionally still do a contract, and I'm used to dealing with people who are misleading, slippery fish and eels, and you can normally catch them out through a process, which is often used in criminal trials, cross-examination. And so I was sort of cross-examining and he'd say something, and then I'd say, "Oh, but compare that what you just said," and he was and then he asked me, "Well, have I ever so in this talk about PDF files and his friends that he invites to DAL, he said, well, have you ever done anything? Have you ever slept with a woman you're not married to?" And I said, "Of course, I'm French." You know, so, and then he tried to equate that with the activities of his PDF file friends. It's like a book. I mean, it's what happens between consenting adults cannot be related to the sort of things that Hovind promotes. Well, it promotes in a way in that he allows his friends who are into that to come to Dino Land, which I think is just disgusting. So yeah, so all a bit more fun. Yeah, so and then I've done a few shorts. If people do want to come on, if they've got a topic they want to suggest, do put it in the comments, because otherwise I tend to just blab on myself, which could get a bit tedious for you. Shorts. My latest shorts is that I heard Kent on one of his latest shows saying, was asked the question, has he revised his end of world time? And his answer was no, that he hasn't. And all the signs are there, and it's not 100%, but well, no prediction is it? But he's making that prediction. So I then put that clip together with one of Big Bad Mama's on his shows, where he actually names the year 2028. So on On the 1st of January 2029, we're going to have to schedule a big show when the world is still here and say that Claude, because I'm predicting that it's not going to end. So we'll see who has Kent's God determined as being the better prophet, Kent or the Claude. So it will be interesting, but I am 100% confident that the world is not ending in 2029. We're not at end times. This has been the shtick of these pasteurs for years, and I think that as Davey says in the chat, Kent said that the rapture is coming soon. Yet that doesn't stop him asking for donations. Yeah, well, nothing will stop him asking for donations. He'll be still asking donations as the world is being torn apart around him. Spooky. Claude is a regular Inspector Clouseau. Well, yes, I've always wanted to be an inspector of the law, although I haven't quite made it. But I'm familiar with financial law in my job, and I'm on the phone quite a bit too. A lot of my time is spent on the phone. Um, yes, I had a neighbor come the other day, and then there was one or two dogs walking around. I said to my friend, I said, "Does your dog bite?" And he said, no. And so I bent down to pat this dog, and it sort of had a nip at me. I said, I thought you said your dog doesn't bite. And my neighbor said, well, that's not my dog. Anyway, so, yeah. You might have heard that story before somewhere. My jokes are hopefully not as bad as Kent's. So that's the end of the world. Then there was a bizarre one where Kent, just in one of his most recent streams, he says maybe God's on the toilet. I don't know where it even came from, but he said it. So I put it up, and how many people here have heard of a Peter Cook and a Dudley Moore? Dudley Moore was the original Arthur in that movie, Arthur. He's a comedian along with Peter Cook, and also extremely talented pianist and musician. The opposite of Kent Hovind, I suppose. Anyway, they when Kent was saying maybe God's on the toilet, it reminded me of the Peter Cook and Dudley Moore sketch, which is quite blasphemous, I suppose, if you believe in blasphemy. And it's where they're saying, the unreported Jesus, and they said, are we to assume that, Jesus never had, various conditions? Did he, go to the toilet? And it was really put in not different words. And it was a bit similar to what Kent was saying, I thought. So I put it up to compare. It's very funny. It's very droll, British style humor. So you can have a look at it. And the title of that is Kent Hovind, Maybe God's on the Toilet. It's less than a minute. I tried to mainly do shorts so that people can watch them and not have their whole day taken up. Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah, Davey says, I'm sure it was blasphemous at the time. It would have, it would have been I mean, that was what, 40, 50 years ago? It was, so it was, and the language, I did sort of filter one word out. I thought, oh, don't want to detract with people getting all upset because a particular word is used and not missing the humor or the irony of the situation. So they want to know that if Jesus went to the toilet, why wasn't it recorded? Why wasn't it down? And at one stage, Peter Cook says, oh, he went to the temple, had a crap, had a piss, wiped his ass with the moneylenders. I mean, it's bizarrely, stupidly funny. It's just bizarre. But anyway, so that's Kent's talk about whether his God was on the toilet has sparked all that off. Another one, I think you'll probably notice that Kent is, obviously he suddenly has become very interested in Charlie Kirk, and Charlie's a wonderful guy and all that sort of thing. Whereas I I'm not sure that he even took any notice of it at all, but he's saying now, but with Kent, it doesn't come across as genuine, and just to make it clear, I'm opposed to all forms of political assassination or indeed homicide of any sort. So it is a tragedy, regardless of what you think of the person. That's not the point. But Kent, talked about it. But the first thing that Kent says, well, Charlie's in heaven now, and he knows that I'm right. Kent's right. So, so he used this poor chap's death to emphasize that Kent is right about some, doctrinal issue that they have. What? Just bizarre. And also in the full thing, I've put up stuff of that before. Partway during, he stops out. Charlie Cuckin's very sad. Oh, Joseph, have you got our mugs you can change? We've got these Dinosaur Adventureland mugs now. $12 and blah blah blah. And then he does that, and then he goes back to talking about Charlie. I mean, it's the most insincere form of tribute that I've ever heard coming from anybody. So, oh well. Then I had another little one, Kent Hovind, Rockabye Stoned Baby. And I don't know if you saw that someone on Kent's channel, they put up this thing about his first words. It was, it's an AI thing, and it has this little baby just born, dressed in a Kent Hovind shirt, one of the Hawaiian shirts. It's funny. And it speaks and it says, dogs produce dogs or whatever. So Kent Hovind thinks. So I put that up, and then I put a lot of his other silly sayings alongside it. And so I put this one of this cute little artificial baby thing saying that, and then immediately followed with Kent talking about dashing babies on the stones, and is it wrong to eat your neighbor's baby? That stupid thing that he talks about. Is it wrong for the lion to eat the baby? Just utter crap. And trying to say that without God there's no morality or something. I don't know. Anyway, so I put that up. That didn't get very many views. I thought it would with a title like Rockabye Stoned Baby. But just shows you it doesn't work. The other one was this this guy, John, from this other creation type museum in the New York area. And he believes that giants roamed the earth, and people would normally, and so does Kent, 12 foot tall. He's talking about just utter bullshit. And he's got this. He sends Hovind a model hand. So here's this big hand. I don't know, 4 or 5 times the size of a normal hand, but it's covered in rings. And to me, it looks quite, shall we say, gay. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. People choose their, they actually don't choose. I believe you either are or you aren't, and it's all part of nature. And but Kent is opposed to that sort of thing. He doesn't like, oh, that's you wicked or whatever. So he's promoting this, and he says this is likely to be Adam's hand. Well, I've never seen a more flamboyant hand in my life. Big one. Probably would help Kent with some of his other nocturnal activities that we occasionally put up to. Yeah, that's given me an idea. I'll have to clip those two things together. So, yeah. Yeah, this large ringed finger. Davey says in the audience says that Kent makes sure that he becomes the center of attention no matter what the subject. And Davey, you are exactly right. Anybody who's followed Kent It's a pity his supporters wouldn't see it too, because he is just the man. He's always has to be the center of attention. It's always about him. He's always been done wrong. He's always, worked hard. Other people just ask for money. The irony is he asks for money all the time, but no, he's always worked hard. Nobody else could keep up with him. Uh, uh, the other thought he was complaining that the cost of the copper wire or the electrical wire for building his Noah's Ark thing um, had gone up, and it looks as though it's due to the tariffs introduced by President Trump. Has meant the cost of importing all this stuff is so much more. So, Hovind's on there, it's gone up. And I think it's probably gone up 50%, maybe more. So that was, I had to put that in there. Yes, Davey, nothing is ever Kent's fault. That's right, And somehow you're meant to believe that after marriage number one, and then he's still saying it after marriage number two, and then he's still saying it after marriage number three, and then he's still saying it after marriage number four, although he didn't say much about that, but he has now. He's broken the ice. It's not his fault. Nothing is ever Ken's fault. Most of us would say that we'd probably want to engage in some introspection, or look at ourselves and say, well, what are we doing wrong? If we're a genuine person, we know that 4 out of 4 wives can't all be wrong. Can't. You'd have to begin to think, what am I like? And I think the answer is he's controlling and dismissive of his wives. He doesn't really ever take any notice of them. He's certainly not interested in keeping them happy. It's all about Kent. Did you see our little short called Kent Hovind Turn the Vibrator On? And he was talking about sitting in a chair and some turning the vibrator and relax. It was just, once again, maybe taken slightly out of context, but it was very humorous, thinking, God, what the hell's this man on about? That got a lot of views. The other one, he was talking about waxing the pole. There was some antics going on, and so I made that one called Kent Hovind Waxing the Pole, which, the mind boggles as to whatever he was doing there. Yeah, so that's what I've been up to, just carrying on. There's another total nonsense. He said, what if snakes, because, snakes, they do use the venom of snakes to produce anti-venom, basically, I think, what is it? But he was saying, maybe it could be used that snakes in Adam's time, they could have been trained to treat Adam's sore ankle or something. So the snake would come and bite him. I just have to check what's going on. Just hold 1 minute. I just need to mute. I'll be back in 1 minute. So sorry about that. Occasionally someone comes to my door, even though it's quite on a Sunday. Yeah, so I'm back. I've got it. Yeah, so what I was talking about there. Yeah, so Ken talking about snakes being trained to treat, for example, if Adam sprained his ankle, they bite and that would treat them, which is just such a load of bullshit. Hi, Captive, how are you going? Yeah. Yes, just I've just been ranting about crap coming out from Hovind and the idea that snakes have trained to, in those days to, it's just utter bullshit. It's not even scriptural. So yeah, just yeah. Uh, what else has he been doing? Oh, there's one that I got from who's that British guy? Really very funny. Welsh guy. Anyway, he's got a clip where Kent really virtually admits by the use of that he's not a doctor. So I always thought that's good because he's not a doctor. Anybody who thinks Kent is a doctor just totally ignorant of how education works, serious education, and I actually think it's stolen valor. Occasionally there are people that pretend that they are war heroes or things like that, and uh, and they medals and all this sort of bullshit. They've sometimes bought them and they'll wear them and they'll wear them as though they were the recipient. Well, Kent is like that with his doctorate degrees. It's not worth the paper it's printed on. And it's an insult, in my view, to those who have done the real work required for a genuine PhD. And for those that say, oh, accreditation, well, of course you need accreditation. Accreditation is the safeguard so that you know that the degree has been properly earned. And it stops this crap that seems to be common in the United States. I mean, most other countries you can't set up a diploma mill, but you can in the United States, where you just send in the money and you print off the certificate. That's what happens, and I think we know that from his actual dissertation, this book, that he came up with, and regardless of whether it started with my name is Kent Hovind, I mean, that's ludicrous, but we'll accept that, oh, well, that was the way he wrote his book. It's still rubbish. The content is rubbish. Yeah. The other thing he's been doing, he's been on about, because, he tells the same stories and jokes over and over again. He was on about his daughter's wedding. And that was, once again, I put that up, the copy of that. It's where the phone rings and he's jacked it up and he answers it, and the daughter's, oh, what's going on here? But once again, that's taking center stage. He has to be the center of attention, and on his daughter's special day, he has to do something so that everybody loves Kent. Well, I would think he's a dick, but obviously the people there quite liked him. Yeah. Yes, I'm quite surprised too that Kent isn't a flat earther. Um, but he isn't. But the funny thing is, one of those Proverbs guys leading lights, which is Achilles. Occasionally, I've mispronounced his name as Asclepius. But he's a flat earther, and yet these Proverbs guys, Boland, etc., take him seriously. My God. Yeah, that's just what. Yeah. Captive says at least he did not use crayon for his dissertation, or maybe he did. He probably colored bits in. Yeah, I think he probably if he used Haeckel's drawings, the gill slits, he probably covered them in. Well, he lies about all that and exaggerates, and he's been told many times before, and he just. Yeah, he just doesn't listen. Actually, I think Kent doesn't have the ability to listen. A lot of people say how clever he is. I actually don't think he is clever. Certainly not now. If he ever was, I'd be amazed. Yes. And then the other thing that got to me, sorry to go on and on, but as I said, nobody's come on, is that he says that his first wife, Jo, was scared of the IRS and that's why she left. Well, so I put up a clip, and the title of which was First Wife Scared of Kent, not the IRS. And that's true. So he's busy telling everyone, oh, she left because she was scared of the IRS. Where's that in the Bible or whatever? No, and the jailhouse recordings show her saying to him, my worry is, Kent, my fear is that you haven't changed. You're just going to be the same Kent when you get out of jail. You haven't learned anything, haven't changed. And he just says, well, maybe it's you that needs to change. Maybe blah, blah, blah. And maybe you need to say he's the way God made him, you know. What a narcissistic ass. And you know what she replies to that? She says, she doesn't argue anymore. She just says, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Calls him sir. His wife calls him sir. Yes, sir. Wow. Do you think she wanted him back? Not on your Nelly. She wouldn't want him back. What a horrible, horrible. Her life has improved so much since Kent has out been, met other women and and everything. And the other thing is too, it's not as though part of Kent's family have stuck with them. None of them have. None of them. uh, Davey says, I'd give him some credit. Yes, you're right. How well he's memorized his script, and now he changes the subject when he's cornered. He's slippery. And that's exactly right. He changes the subject when he's cornered. There was one on another show, and I managed to get on because I'm banned under my name, Claude Bowles, from his channel, the one that he doesn't have but does have on YouTube. Anyway, I'm banned from that. But if he's a guest on another show, I can quite often get in there. And he'd made a claim on another show that he majored in math and science, right? So I said, where did he major in math and science? And the host asked that, and he dodges or doesn't give an answer. And then I said, ask it again. Where did you major in math and science? And then he immediately says, oh, it's just attacking the person. Well, no, it's not. It's not attacking. I just want to know where he majored in math and science. And, the truth is he didn't major in math and science in anything. You don't major in high school in math and science. You do major in it if you earn a degree of some sort. But even his fake degree, even his diploma mill degree is not in math and science. So that's just an outright lie, and I caught him in it. Caught him in an outright lie. So, but the dumb masses that support him, like Joseph, don't seem to realize it. Well, they do, but they just don't want to know because they're probably on a good thing, They getting money and getting looked after, but they will eventually fall out. That's one thing I am certain of. So eventually they will fall out. What else? Yeah. He condemns some people as being a bit lewd and crude, but so I put that little condemnation up alongside a thing where he says that they graduated summa cum laude, and he's clearly perverting the Latin term some to sound like they're up to something else, but he's one to talk about given some of the recordings I've heard. Anyway, so he does that. So he's got just as dirty a mind as, and I don't mind humor. Of course I don't. But don't then come holier than thou and say that you're, oh, no, I don't. Because he does. Yeah, so. Ah. And Yeah, there's one show where he accuses Sandra of taking that money, the 16K that Joseph accidentally revealed that day. So, yeah. Well, I'm I'm running out of things to talk about. All I can do is please, if I can encourage you to have a look at the shorts. They're less than a minute long. Would give me great encouragement if you do look at the shorts that I put up, and if you can give them a like, that's good. If you do like them, that is. I don't want people to like stuff they don't like. But if you can look at those shorts, that will help. And I would good to see them, people's lives affected by them, and that they begin to realize that Kent is a charlatan. So, yes, thank you, Davey. Yes, you're a regular. I get a lot of comments from Davey too. Davey comes on and he has a few things to say. But I'm beginning to think they're very effective way. Spooky Ben is going to look up my shorts. I nearly said something about balls as well, but I thought, no, I won't go there. To find the true balls, you need to look up Claude's shorts. But I think, one way is and what I've done, quite often Kent is talking about, he's having a guest from somewhere or whatever, and they're coming. If I can find out a contact, their ministry address, whatever, I send them a bit of an email saying, Kent's not a doctor. He's never taught math and science really. And he's not qualified to be a pastor. He's now on his fourth marriage has ended. You just need to know that. And he's never majored in math and science because he won't say where. I just want you to know. I call it telling the inconvenient truth. So I do. I just get on. Sometimes I get a reply. Sometimes I don't. Doesn't matter. I'm doing my best to save these people's souls. Yeah. Anyway, I will leave you now, and Spooky, you can have time to look up Claude's bald shorts to find the true balls. Yeah. You might have to look quite hard, but anyway, it's been a bit of fun. Next time I'll try and give more notice, and if people come on and chat, I'm sorry I've missing Mod or Big Bad Mama. They sometimes come on. Sometimes Aiden. But anybody's welcome. And yeah, so it's Claude Bowles signing out. Bonne journée to Davy. Au revoir.